Hey there, and welcome to Time to Lean, the podcast where you air your dirty laundry and we help you clean up your shit. I'm Crystal Britt.
And I'm Laura Danger. Think of us as your household secret weapon, taking your questions and voicemails to navigate the wild world of gender norms and household dynamics.
We dive headfirst into the nitty-gritty of how broader social issues impact our everyday lives.
So don't be shy. Send us your dirty laundry.
And we'll help you clean up your shit.
This is Time to Lean.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Time to Lean. We're so excited to get into this today. I had one of my followers pop in my DMs and she was like, have you seen this? And it made me scream in my heart and also silent scream in my throat. And so I sent it to Laura, but she has not watched it yet. So I'm going to screen share it and share it with all of you. So if you don't know, you can listen to this on Spotify and watch the video version, but I will explain after I share the video for our audio only listeners. This is a tweet from an account called Ask Aubrey, and I'm going to make sure that we've got sound. Let's see.
Oh, I have seen. What is this? Okay.
I don't
so
know.
Anybody who's listening, it's either just this couple or there's a whole series of them, and it's like, I don't know, Christian? I don't know.
They've got to. There's got to be some. I have not done no digging on this couple, and it's got to be some sort of religious background. It has to be.
Yeah,
just based on this
I've
video.
seen a series of interviews with couples, and it might just be the same couple, and they look different every time.
Yeah,
but they sit down, and I see clips of it, and it's like, this is not, whatever is going on here is not okay. This is an issue. So I'm really excited to hear which clip this is, because I've heard 100%. A handful of them.
My favorite is that comment underneath by @Korg_E that says, my favorite fact about them is that Morgan threw up at the altar and somehow didn't recognize that as an omen.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So it's a nice average looking white couple. Nice
minimalist home. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes. Okay. She's got a baby in her lap who looks under 6 months old for sure. Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah, nice middle upper class home. All that.
Okay, let's see.
Just a very clear answer. If, say, it's been a couple days and you're vacuuming, and I'm like, Morgan, I could really go for sex. I think maybe the give and take would be, you say, babe, I get it. Let me finish vacuuming and then we'll have sex. And the give for me could be like, okay, you can finish you know what I mean? Or vice versa. Yeah. It could be just a very clear answer.
Okay, that's the clip. That's the clip. 30 seconds. That's a 30-second clip.
What?
The first comment.
Give and take. I want sex. I want sex, and you are serving me in another way.
Yeah.
You are serving me in another way, and I want sex right now. Mommy,
she's not
right now.
Mommy, right?
The compromise is you can finish vacuuming before you service me.
And I love that you're like, you are in an act of service in another way and interrupt that. He doesn't see vacuuming that way. What?
No,
absolutely not. She's quote unquote doing what she's supposed to be doing.
On his schedule. Can you imagine? And I bet you when she's like, can you help me out with dinner real quick? Do you mind, can you help me?
Yep.
He's like, that's your fucking job. That's your job. Morgan.
What did I do all day? Okay. First of all, I got to read you some of these comments. So this comment says, first of all, if you actually say the words, I could really go for some sex, then you should never have had it. You should never have any again, ever.
Never.
And then somebody commented on, if it's been a couple of days, LOL, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Yeah, because that's also a part I didn't pick up on. If it's been a couple days and we haven't had sex. Okay, so.
Oh, yeah. That was my immediate, did you see my face? I was shocked. That baby, you're right. That baby was no bigger than 6 months old. Dude, yep. You know what? I had a friend. I'm so sorry if this is your experience or if your sex drive is different than mine. This is just me. I was shocked to shit. She goes to her 6 month postpartum thing and goes
6 week.
6 week postpartum and goes, I'm still bleeding, but he really wants to. And so I'm really excited to to, or like even said like he's really excited to check if I'm okay. No, dude.
Nope.
Oh my God.
Like, do you not understand how many devices are on any single sex toy website? Go nuts. Go crazy. Under $100. Have fun.
I'm just looking up who it is. And
Amazing.
Okay. Paul and Morgan have been married for 7 years, living in Lexington, Kentucky with their baby boy, Luca. They have been making YouTube videos since 2016. Since the beginning. Huh.
Will you check and see if they were on Shiny Happy People for me? If they were in that documentary? Because I think they were in that documentary. I think they were like the counterpoint to the thesis of Shiny Happy People.
Yeah, Christian influencers Paul and Morgan say Shiny Happy People producers lied about docuseries.
There you go. I think that they were featured in it as like a Christian counterpoint of like, no, like if my husband, you know, whatever, head of the household, he's male, he knows, like the submission is good. It was very upsetting because they're so much younger than any of like the IBLP stuff that was talked about. Like they are the new generation of, you know, like elder Gen Z, youngest millennials perpetuating the cycle. That's how I remember them in the documentary.
Yeah, the mix of when I Google them, a bunch of YouTube videos come up where it's their YouTube video and then it's other people being like, Morgan talks about horrific, toxic sex habits and things. So it's like really a big problem. Okay, they say Paul and Morgan, they encourage people to choose Christ over culture. They enjoy creating content that is entertaining and impactful, challenging their viewers to seek the truth through the word of God rather than fall for the lies of the world that it tries to push on us daily. Paul and Morgan continue making one video at a time, reminding their viewers to be in the world,
but not of
the world.
But not of the world. Yeah. To be in it, but not of it. That's a Christian thing.
Okay. Always the disclaimer, no hate to Christians. All the hate to Paul and Morgan. No, no.
All the hate to people.
This is not personal.
Anyway, there is what makes me angry about this is there is no version of the multiverse where a good religion puts you under this kind of coercive, like obligatory, put sex under that category. None. Oh, there are only bad religions and bad worldviews that do this. Like, what the fuck are we even talking about?
Yeah, this is, it's obligatory sex, but not even. I feel like, okay, here's where it gets complex for me. I'm going to read to you an article that I found. I mean, there are so many horrors in what you just shared. Did you want to share any more additional comments, by the way, before I move on?
About this tool bag? No. Like, it's just, it's so typical. It's almost like cartoonish. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yes. That's exactly it. It's like how, and when these like shock value YouTubers who get a ton of views because of their controversy bug the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know that this is a problem. You know that this is not right.
Right.
And yet, like what?
Yes.
Okay, so I just did like a quick look because I did not grow up in any sort of culture or with any belief that like I was never explicitly taught that I owed my body to a man. Mm-hmm. But I did implicitly learn that.
Right.
And I implicitly
being socialized as a woman. Yeah, 100%.
Yes. And also the idea that like it can be very dangerous to turn someone down and make them upset. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So like, what is that? Socially coerced?
Yeah. Culturally coerced.
So this is an article called, do I tell everybody where it's from? I don't want to tell people where it's from. I don't want to throw anyone under the bus. Maybe it's called
Throw the author under the bus.
Okay. All right. Samantha Rodman, PhD in 2014. Okay. Clinical psychologist, author and founder of drpsychmom.com. Women should have sex when they don't want to. No, that wasn't a typo. That's the name of this article. So I think that she's trying to write a real snappy, zippy, clickbaity title to this article. But she basically goes on. I'm going to read you a couple of her sticking points. She's like, you're going to hate me. I'm Satan. Yes, I think men should do it too when they don't want to. She says, okay, here is, I am Satan incarnate because I feel the following. Within a loving marriage, both people should do things they don't want to do. Sometimes these things are watching TV you don't like, interacting with in-laws you don't like, cleaning up your partner's vomit when they are sick, or watching the kids for an extended period of time while your partner works. C, sometimes these things are sex. Unless a partner has a history of sexual trauma and abuse, sadly this is common, but it is certainly not every single person. I believe that sex can and should be another thing you do because you love your partner, even if you're not in the mood. That we're going to come back to that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I am not advocating for non-consensual sex. I am advocating consenting to sex because you want to be a loving partner. Next is both men and women deny their spouse's sex. I am, for the record, saying both men and women should suck it up and have sex when they don't want to for the good of the marriage. Next, just like how you don't yell and curse and moan if you have to clean up your partner's vomit, because if you're already doing it, you might as well make the best of it.
What the fuck does that even mean?
You should make the best of sex when you're not in the mood. It's going to be better than vomit.
And what she says is it's got to be better than vomit, which is even better grammatically when you think about it, because it's like, well, it's got to be better than puke. And I know she's being tongue in cheek. Oh my God, I have so many fucking opinions.
Okay, she says, further, this means that you don't get to lay around during the act like you have recently died.
Oh, fuck this lady. Get wrecked.
Without even the possibility, exciting novelty of rigor mortis.
What the fuck is happening? What does that even mean?
Oh, wait, ew, what? Ew.
Yeah, yes.
Let me reread that. Further, this means that you don't get to lay around during the act like you have recently died, without even the possibly exciting novelty of rigor mortis.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah.
You are supposed to try and at least be loving and nice. When you're interacting with your disliked in-laws, this means you put on a smile on your face during your visit. During sex, this means act like you're not about to be beheaded tomorrow morning and someone just pissed on your specially requested last meal. If you are the partner with zero sex drive, you should investigate the following. We can stop there.
Yeah, we're gonna have to stop there, because if we go past there, I'm gonna start screaming into the mic. Okay, first of all, when she says, where did I start feeling it? When did I start getting this scene pop up in my head? Probably where she said, I am not advocating non-consensual sex. I am advocating consenting to sex because you want to be a loving partner. It's that Mandy Patinkin line from Princess Bride. You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means. Like, that's not, like, what do you mean by consent? You like, the way she's using consent is you're doing it. I'm trying to reread it. I am not advocating non-consensual sex. I am advocating consenting to sex. Just say yes. Just do it. Like, that's not consent. That's obligation. There's a difference between my enthusiastic yes.
It's obligatory. And I have heard and read, I mean, I'm not a therapist, but I've hung out in this corner of the world long enough that I often hear about the transactional idea of sex. And it's obligatory. And here's why I said it was a little bit complex in my head, is because in relationships, you are obligated to care for other people in a certain way. And what is it? I think Nedra Glover Tawwab says something about this, about like familial, or maybe it's bell hooks. I don't know. Someone great said this. or was made me process this. There is a family obligation, a mother to child or a parent to a child.
Yep.
To provide a certain kind of care.
Yep.
And that is a loving act between you have to meet certain needs because that is the nature of the relationship.
It's a responsibility.
Yes.
Because there's a difference in a power dynamic. There is a hierarchy in that space where it's like one of you is very vulnerable and has to be taken care of by the other person.
Yes.
That
now,
is
do I
not
think that
this.
applies? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So it's like a manipulation of the idea of how you are obligated or the type of responsibility and relationship you have to someone.
Yes.
I would, yeah. Giving away your sexual choice in a relationship, in my belief, I don't think you should give away your bodily autonomy and sexual choice within a relationship ever.
And what do you have to like? What do you feel, Laura, as like I want to talk about the comparison of we all do things we don't want to do. We all do things we hate, right? But when we're naming things that we hate doing, right? I feel like that is how she is framing this, especially when she talks about like, well, when your partner's sick and you're cleaning up their vomit. First of all, what am I cleaning up? Like, under what circumstance am I cleaning up their vomit? Because if they went out last night and like got shit faced and came home late and drove drunk, like I'm not going to happily clean up their fucking vomit. If they're puking because they have a stomach bug, like, yeah, I'm going to take care of them because they're vulnerable. I am not meeting a vulnerable, that gets sticky. Am I meeting a vulnerable need when I meet, like, when one partner has a high sex drive and the other one does not? That also gets very sticky.
That's okay. So that I think that the vulnerability and the power dynamic is what is really important here. I can understand. Okay, you and I have read a lot of this recently.
Yeah.
For anybody who's listening, Crystal and I are we just read Ace by Angela Chen, and I think are both finished with Feminist Theory by Bell Hooks. We are working our way through The Tragedy of Heterosexuality by Jane Ward.
Yes, you heard that right. That was not a typo.
Yes. And so in The Tragedy of Heterosexuality, it is again like sort of tongue in cheek, but also she digs well into this concept that we're always like, oh, I wish I would never wish to be queer on my child. Like, oh, that's so sad. When in reality, like maybe the expectations of heterosexuality and the heterosexual structure is maybe something that we should investigate a little bit. Maybe that's the problem, or is affecting the challenges of queerness in our society.
Absolutely. And societal expectations within a relationship, right?
Yes.
That there are, so to transition a teeny tiny bit, the reason we're talking about this is because I feel like it is a typical dynamic in cis het couples to experience either like a lull in sex drive because the default partner or the caregiving partner spends a lot of time this time of year taking communal account, being hyper vigilant to everyone else's needs, right? To everybody's needs. And non-default partner or non-caregiving partner maybe works outside the home, feels neglected, or like feels like, oh, this is a good time to like take advantage of, this extra brain space I have during the holidays. Like, oh, I would like to have sex. Can we have sex? And then caregiving partner's like, absolutely not. I have 800 things in my head, right? No, in no way, shape, or form, right? And so then can create this dynamic between the two of like feeling rejected. And of course, like just like other episodes where we talk about coercion and manipulation, this is in the context of like a healthy relationship, which we're going to go over red flags, like what to notice to be like, these are red flags, right? We're talking about a green flag relationship where maybe when sex is brought up, it's sensitive for each of you for different reasons. Here's the thing. I have followed for a long time, Lack of Impulse Control. Her name is Rachel. She's a clinical psychologist. IMO, like much better than the one who wrote this article that we just read. But she shares a lot on her TikTok about, they call it body talk with her kids. This one video has stuck with me. This video is from April of 2021, where it is what we have adopted for our kids, the 4 pillars of safe sex. So her 4 pillars of safe sex that she teaches her kids are confirmation, communication, lubrication, and enthusiastic participation, which when I first watched it blew my fucking mind because first of all, lubrication between cishet couples is like never talked about. So these are the 4 pillars. For confirmation, she outlines making sure that your partner is consenting, age appropriate, and that there is no imbalance in power, right? So confirmation, safe sex, that which is genius, right? Because then I have had parents come to me and be like, how do I protect my kids from grooming? This is one of the things that you teach them. Confirmation, age appropriate, and there's no imbalance of power. Is this person in a position of power over you? Then it's a no-go. Not okay. She has another one on age appropriate and discussing like what that is. Communication.
I need a tiny side note here.
Yes.
This is something I think about a lot. A lot of the purity culture language around men and little girls is the idea that girls do have power over men because of how sexually alluring they are. So I think that is a really important piece to talk about is that men are fully in control of themselves. Adult men will never be so out of control around you that you need to do. You are not in control of adult men. Yes. You are not.
Yes. One thing that we've taught our kids is that for like stranger danger is a grown-up will never come to you and say that they need your help with something. No adult who has good intentions for you will ever say, well, I just couldn't help myself.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like or will even allude to that. Anyway, so yeah, the power dynamic communication includes discussing contraception and protection. And she also talks about there's talk before, during, and after, right? Like full communication throughout the entire process of sex, right? There shouldn't be a situation where you feel like you can't be talking to your partner and communicating. I like that. I don't like that. Please don't do that. Yes, more of that. Right? You should never be shamed or feel weird about that.
Is it Dipsea? That's the erotic stories where the stories Dipsea, DIPSEA. Sponsor us, please, Dipsea. We love you.
Please sponsor us, Dipsea. You're great.
In their stories,
we both pay for subscriptions. We would love it.
We do. In their stories, they have very clear consent. And I don't know if they have options. Yes, condoms. They use condoms. They and what did they say? Because so many of their users are women who have had their consent breached.
Yep.
And to have somebody feel safe to ask questions.
Yep.
Fuck yeah, man.
It's so good. Woman-owned company, ran incredibly. It's inclusive, and they have paid painstaking attention to that detail, right? To give their audience like autonomy and pay. It's almost trauma informed, right? Like I can't call it trauma informed because it's not, there's no CEUs or anything for them to take, but it's very ethical, very mindful. The third one is, sorry, I'm like pushing through this video, lubrication. She specifies, okay, and I also need to clarify, her kid who is older than 12 wanted to, because she doesn't share faces of her kids. So it's just their voice, wanted to contribute and said, hey, I want to share, like, I want to talk about, I want to go over these rules. Would you record this and post it to your TikTok? Because I think this would be great. And she was like, sure. So he is sorry, I don't know the gender of their child. They are going through these. And so she's prompting them. They say lubrication both. And she says both. And then the kid says added, and both natural and added. So like having that. So because if someone is not naturally lubricated, that could be a sign that they are not enthusiastically consenting, right? That body tone is not matching words. And so paying attention, again, full communication before, during, and after, explicit communication. And then the last one is enthusiastic participation. The 2 principles she outlines here are don't just be a stiff board, right? Don't be non-participatory, and make sure that they are not. Because if there's something is going on in that realm, something is not okay. Something's missing, something's off with one of these 4 principles. So I think these are great to teach to kids, to teenagers, but also for adults. Like for adults that have never considered, well, sex is just part of the marriage deal. That's something I have to do.
Yeah. Let's bring it back. That was, I love her. Lack of impulse control on TikTok, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in the original video, Paul is making it seem like she owes him to meet this need.
Yep.
And then in this article, women should, and she says men too, but partners should, even if they don't want to, even if it feels like cleaning up vomit or hanging out with in-laws, power through and smile, grit and bear it. And the one thing that I thought I could possibly get behind was the idea that a loving marriage, like you show up for someone in a loving way, in a way that feels good and connected and makes your partner feel connected. So like, I'm going to go play pinball.
Right.
Even though like my husband, when he plays one ball, it takes 30 minutes. And sometimes I'm like, it's not the most engaged I am, but it does make us feel connected when we do things together. So I'm not going to compare sex to pinball necessarily, but
I feel like there are people who would disagree, but that's fine. That's okay.
So I think that there is a way to say that you would join your partner in something that would make you both feel connected.
Yes.
And so if connecting physically and you are open and ready and you do feel good about doing that, maybe.
Yes. And I
this
think
is
that's
why I
different.
connected it to ACE, because in ACE, the author Angela Chen talks about this idea that there is a difference between like being horny, desiring someone physically, wanting physical or emotional intimacy. There are all of these different types of love and desire and sex. And so just powering through because you feel obligated to connect in a very specific way for them, that they could have an orgasm on their own.
Yeah.
But if it's about intimacy and they feel connected through that, and you also like, there are so many complexities, just be like, no, you guys should fuck because you should.
and that is the feeling I get with this article. It's
yes,
like,
right.
Just suck it up and fuck. It's like, come on, dude. Like, I'm so sorry to any of our listeners who are like, if this podcast could just be a little less out there and explicit, that would be great. Because it is so outrageous. That ask is outrageous. Right. And I love the nuance that you mentioned, like from ACE, and also because someone who is looking for emotional intimacy in that way in order to connect with you, there is some I'm sure some psychologists would frame that as like, well, that is a purely physical need that is being met, and the connection that is being met is physical. I would disagree. I think that because again, you can get off in other ways. You can get off on your own, right? When it becomes a thing of, no, like I feel more emotionally attuned to you, I feel more emotionally connected to you, that is a different ask.
Yes.
Because that involves communication, like clear expectations, that's an iterative process. What Paul and Morgan are doing, what Paul is doing to Morgan is like, we gotta fuck.
Right.
It's almost righteous gemstomy.
There was, yeah. Okay. And this is the thing. Did you grow up with the myth of blue balls?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
That was such a weaponized idea when I was a kid, and I heard it all of the time. And this is side note, man, we're really going off the rails today.
We really said, let's just talk about it all.
Somebody that I was following on TikTok, it was a video about like the myth of blue balls. For anybody who doesn't know what that is, it's the idea that if men don't release, like you could tease a man up into the point where if you don't let him release it's going to make him sick and he's going to hurt and it's going to be so painful. Just finish him. Just do it for him.
Which
he's
so bonkers.
He said, he was like, actually, one time they were intimate with somebody and they were to the point where he did not ejaculate and they did not ejaculate. And they got a really big tummy ache. And later that night ended up so ill that they ended up going to the ER. And it turns out that there is some sort of like, it's not blue balls, but it's
not called blue balls.
No.
The medical term is not blue balls.
No. And they were like, there legitimately was something going on muscular and internally because of whatever happened. And they were like, and do I believe that she was obligated to provide me with her body that release? No, never. Absolutely not. I can go to the bathroom. I can handle it myself. I can stop. You are still, the consent can be revoked. It can be particular about certain things within. There is the legality of stealthing, which is, not talking about manipulating or poking a hole in a condom, not talking about ejaculation and then pushing past somebody. We talked about this with Yara and Jovi. So there's more to it.
There's so much more to it. And I feel like you had another article or a webpage pulled up about red flags. Here's the other thing I want to say. Yeah. If you are a woman in a cishet relationship and you feel like, or if you are a non-binary person in a relationship and you feel like at some point your sex drive was higher and you would like it to be higher, it bothers you that it is not higher because in the past it has been something different and you feel like it might indicate some declination of health. It could indicate depression, anxiety, something physical going on with hormones, something going on. Like, that is fine. Then get it checked out by a doctor. Then go see a therapist. See a sex therapist, AASECT certified therapist, AASECT. I know a great one in the LA area if you need one. She is incredible. And do not let someone else, least of all a random fucking psychologist on a nationally known publication, tell you that your low sex drive is indicative of something, is indicative of a pathology. If that is something that you want to have checked out, do that. If you want aid in that, Dipsea is great. So is right now, I mean, I'm sure it was before I discovered it like 2 years ago, but Kindle Unlimited is full of erotic novels that are so good. There's an entire community of all different kinds of genres and specifications that you could, like an encyclopedia. It's like Wattpad or AO3, but for reals, like physical books. So all of those aids are fine if you feel like it is a problem you would like to remedy, but it is not anyone else's obligation. It's not anybody else's prerogative to say, that's something wrong with you. You need to fix that, or you need to work on that.
Right. And okay. And I'm going to even push it. Outside of any sex or gender, because there was also, you and I had talked about this a while ago, like the over sexualization of men.
Yeah. Yes. You're exactly right. Yes.
And the idea,
thank you for saying
that if you're not driven by sex, if you aren't hungry for sex every day, are you come on. There is nothing wrong with you. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you. The same way, that's why I love Angela Chen. She says, like, it's not just the idea of compulsory heterosexuality, but the idea of compulsory sexuality, that like your sex drive is neutral.
Yes. Yep.
Just neutral.
Yep. And that's fine. That is fine. I thank you for saying that.
Yeah. We'll run through these real quick and then we can add it to the show notes. This is from domesticshelters.org. And it is an article about the 8 tactics of sexual coercion in intimate partnerships. It is exploitation, using some form of deception or exploitation to obtain sex,
Mhm.
bullying, insulting or calling the target names to get sex, accusing them of being uptight, prude, or a cock tease,
Mm.
pressure, using arguments, nagging, begging, persistence to push the other person to have sex. This is because they just won't give up. Relational threats or manipulation, threatening to end the relationship or seek another sexual partner if the target does not comply, accusing the target of being a bad girlfriend or bad spouse. Humiliation and intimidation, screaming, shouting, making a scene, degrading the target, making them comply, forcing them to do certain sex acts anyway, revoking their consent. No one in their right mind would want to touch you, punching walls, breaking objects. Inducing helplessness. Helplessness occurs when someone has learned through experience that they are unable to refuse sex because their partner simply ignores their efforts or says no, or ignores their efforts to say no, or physically overpowers them. Targets who have been made to feel helpless may not overtly object to particular acts or on particular days because they have learned that they cannot resist effectively. Inducing hopelessness, communicating to a target that the effects of refusing to have sex are worse than complying. For instance, an abuser might give his partner the silent treatment, act cold or mean or mistreat or pester children if the target does not comply sexually. Physical harm or threats of physical force. Obviously, when physical threats and abuse appear at times during a sexual encounter, the targets know that they will put themselves at risk if they do not submit.
Those are such good, nuanced flags. We will put those
Yes.
in the show notes because that's incredible.
Yeah, I thought that was really good. Yeah,
That's great.
I think, do you have any other last notes?
If anybody makes you feel weird about sex in any sort of way, even if you are married to them,
Yeah.
they can get wrecked. Like it is
Yep.
like it is okay to like consent is not only it's not a one-time thing, it's an ongoing process. And so at any point, if your partner says anything to you other than like, great, I would love to hear more about that, or can you tell me about why that might be, or can we have a conversation about the frequency we have sex or whatever, or anything of that nature, it's not like you're valid in questioning it and in opting out. That's okay.
You do not owe them. You are not in control of you are not responsible for their disappointment or their feelings afterward. They can process that. If you can process it together, but they own it. They got to own that.
Yes, they can own that, just like you can process, just like you are processing and owning what you're going through, right? They are capable of the exact same thing.
All right. Awesome. That went from shocking to
that went from shocking to stopping just short of using all of the porn words.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We will, again, put some resources in the show notes. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye. Thanks for joining us on another episode of Time to Lean. Your questions and stories are what keep us going, so keep those voicemails and messages coming.
Until our next episode, remember that you can always find us on social media and, of course, in your podcast feed. You can also subscribe for $5 a month on Spotify for uninterrupted episodes and bonus content. We're so grateful for your support. See you next time.